Hello everyone, this is the fifth video of Cameo MagicDraw plugin development lessons. Today's topic is working with dialogues. My name is Zsolt and I will be your host today. So today's topic is working with dialogues. But why do we even need dialogues? In the previous lessons, we created some kind of plugins which provided buttons or some kind of menu items that could be clicked by the user. And as an effect of this action, we created model elements or we created some kind of diagrams. In some cases, the user wants to provide some kind of inputs and also see some kind of outputs. This we can provide using a visual component called a dialog. So today we will talk about how to display a dialog, how to display components on this dialog, and also how to design your own dialog. We'll talk about the layouts and we will talk about various components that you can use. We will also provide you a way of structuring your code that I found very useful. So let's get started. As usual, I created a Git repository which you can check out with the following command: git clone and the URL, and then follow the instructions in the README file. So let's start with a quick demonstration as usual. I already installed the plugin in Cameo, so I just have to press right mouse click and select lesson 5 browser action. This is a very simple example. And here you will see that the dialog is actually displayed. You can move it around, you can select, well, you cannot select much because it's kind of empty, but you see that you can press buttons which are doing basically nothing. And actually that was our goal, to have this kind of dialog here. And then, of course, you can close it and you can reopen it this way. So this is what we want to achieve today. Let's jump into the details. I have IntelliJ already opened, so I will give you just a short overview what we will see here. So we have an action as before, and in this action we create a new dialog and we make it visible. This is how you make dialog visible. It has a parameters. The constructor has a parameter, it's called parent, and this is actually a frame. A frame is basically the main window, kind of main window. This is the best way to think about a frame. And this main window will be the Cameo window. And the reason we want to get it, so this is how you can get it, is because we want to position the dialog in the middle of Cameo. So if we go back here, so what we want to achieve is to display the dialog here in the middle. And for that, you need to get a reference to this frame. So let's go into this dialog. So the dialog extends GDialog, which is a Java component. So we'll specify our dialog as a kind of GDialog, so it's a Java dialog. And it has a field, so an internal member of a panel. So when this dialog is created, also a panel is created, and it will be set as a content pane. So that means the kind of panel that is displayed on the dialog. So this is called a content pane. And we will call this pack method. That means that every component should be laid out based on how layout manager works. We'll talk about it also a little bit later. And we set the location relative to the parent. So this means let's put it in the middle. We also define the default close operation that will be hide on close. That means whenever you press this X button on the top right corner, it will just hide the dialog, it will not destroy it. The reason for that is Java has some kind of issues with destroying dialogs, especially when they are kind of destroying itself sometimes there are some references there, and I couldn't actually find a great way how to handle it. And as I found out, others couldn't find a great solution for that as well. So a kind of generic approach for this is just to hide the dialog. So whenever you just first display a dialog, then you never destroy it, you just hide it. And when the user wants to see it again, you will just show it, and basically that's it. So this is how you can do. So let's see how this panel looks like. So this is very simple. So it is a type of base unmarshal panel, and it has a method called update components that is doing basically nothing. But this will be the place where you will add your own configuration for that panel, including setting action listeners. So basically, what happens when you click like button? And this is what you can write here. Or if you have like a combo box and you want to fill it with some default values, this is where you can do it. And now we will talk about this base unmarshal panel. If we go here, you will see that this looks like some generated code. It actually writes that this is a generated code. Of course, you can open it, and you will see that various components are created like here, like the title panel, some labels, some combo box, some buttons as well, like here, those ones. And then some very complicated, tricky layout management goes like here, and here, and here, and here, and yeah, so this is like rather complicated. And so why we are not writing this code by yourselves? Well, because that just takes too much time. I mean, you can use the basic layout managers. The layout managers is actually responsible of how to lay out the components. And so you can write it by yourself. And that's totally okay. But in my experience, it's not really worth the time, because we have really great user interface builders. So the way I work is I just create a dialog or just a panel using dialog builder, and then I will use it as a base. So this is why I call that base. And the way I want to work, I don't want to write any kind of code in which I lay out the items. I want to kind of push this whole task to the editor, and it will do it for me. And I really want to just write business logic. And the nice way is to kind of separate what is generated by the GUI builder and what is your actual code. And this is how I achieve this kind of separation. So let's see how you can work with this dialog builder. IntelliJ has some built-in dialog building capability, but I didn't find it really usable. This is the reason I tried to find another solution, and now this is what I found. So there is an open source editor called, or ID, called Apache NetBeans ID. And this is totally open source. You can download it for free. And why I like it, it has a really great dialog editor. If I just open this file, as you can see, it is displaying this panel. And it has a capability to display it in a design preview. So you can check what happens if you resize, for example, your dialog, how it will look like. You can definitely play with it. So the way I work is when I want to create a dialog, I just open the project in IntelliJ. I go where the dialog or the panels are located, and I will use NetBeans to create a panel. And then I will switch back to IntelliJ and use the panel I created in NetBeans. So this is what I found the fastest way to create a panel. I will show you how to create this kind of panel like from scratch. So we will use it as an example, and we will try to recreate it very quickly. In order to create this kind of panel from scratch, we'll just go here, right mouse click, new, and we select swing GUI forms, and we just want to have a G panel. So we will call it like my base whatever panel. For the typo, and basically that's it. So, oh, sorry, this is where I want to have it. So, yeah, okay. This is where I want it. So we just have a panel here which we can display. Well, it doesn't display anything. So normally the way you work is inside this panel you can add additional panels, and this is like very simple. You select panel here and basically just set this position and then move it to the right, and basically that's it. So now we have a panel inside the panel, so we will call it like, here you can rename it, like we can call it like top panel, and that's it. And you can select the background, you can change it to like white or something, so that we will see that, okay, here is something else. If you want to play with it, the way I normally do is sometimes I use like funny colors like green or blue for testing purposes. So imagine if I add this like here, and I select it and change the color to like blue. That's just for testing. So we can add kind of bottom panel like here and set the color to whatever yellow. And yeah, we can move a little bit around. Sorry. And here as well. Okay, so let's see how it looks. Okay, so this looks like somehow here. And then of course we can add some labels. So here comes some long label, and yeah, and we can add another one. So we can use the Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V, and we can just make it like bigger. We can even use the text that is here. It's absolutely doable. And we can, oh, sorry. So we can make it like bigger. That's great. We can set the font color to like bold. Okay. And of course, you can just simply copy paste also this. So as you can see, this top part is already done. This is like as you can see, it's really fast. You can work with this like really fast. And I can even move it like closer to each other. Okay, so the next part will be adding these two entries. To make it look nice is the following. You add the label, and basically you add the combo box in line with the label, and you drag it to the right side. So this is how it will look nice. So I can use the name, pin type, okay. So it's like pin type, and yeah, and then we will add another one for the orientation. Yes, here, and also add another combo box. Okay, how we do it? Okay, and then of course we can reset the background color. So this is like reset to default, and then okay, it's looking like this way. Let's see what happens if we resize. Okay, this is almost good. As you can see, the left side is moving, so this is what we don't want. So we need to play a little bit with this. So probably like this way, just moving it a little bit around, and let's see what happens here. Ah, that's great. Okay, so this is resizing as we want, and I think this is quite important to play a little bit with this, because different people use different size of screens. So someone uses like a 14 inch, someone uses like a 25-inch monitor. And sometimes you need to kind of resize the dialogue. And I think the most annoying stuff that can happen that you resize the dialogue and it kind of falls apart. So I think it's kind of important to play a little bit with this to make things look nicer. So here I will add the button. So here's the button. And we can call it like select, deselect all. So this is like select, deselect, deselect all. This is also nice. And we want to have a table here. So normally the way you do that is you either add a scroll pane or just add the panel. And inside the panel you add the scroll pane. So the scroll pane is needed so that the dialog, sorry, not the dialog, but the table will be able to kind of scroll. So if you just add the table, it will be not able to scroll. You have to put it on a scroll pane or inside the scroll pane. Basically, that's it. So this is how you can add this. And then we will remove this gap like here. Okay, it's nice. And two additional things are missing here. Yeah, this will remove as well. Okay, so we have this, we have the table, and we need to add two additional buttons. So button here, which will be like unmarshal. Oh, sorry. You can switch here to design mode. So we'll call it unmarshal. And we'll add another button called close. So basically here we are. Yeah, of course, change it back to normal. So this is what we have here. Of course, we can play a little bit with, or maybe think about, so what if I make it bigger? What should happen? Probably those should move down, and this should increase, the table should increase in size. So you can play with this later, but as you can see, this was like, I don't know how much, 5 minutes probably, 10 minutes to just create a dialogue. So it was like really simple. Now, the next thing what we want to do is to name the items, because we want to reference them, and we want to reference them by G button 1 or 2 or whatever. So we want to give them some normal names. So you can, on the left side here, just rename it. So this is like a select, deselect button. and this is like an unmarshal button, so I just press F2 and unmarshal button, and this one is the close button, and that's it. And in order to access it in your own code, so like here, you need to set the visibility for those items. So this is what you can do by selecting this code. So you select the item, on the right side you select code, and change the modifier from private, so that means that it is only visible inside the class, to like protected, so it is visible by every class that inherits from it. So every subtype, you can say. So I just created this button, and in the code I changed the modifier to protected. So if you go back in the code, then we'll see that, see, this is like protected. So that means you can access it from your code. In order to use the panel that we have, that we created before, we like to create a new class that will inherit from this panel. So I will go back to IntelliJ, and here I just create a new Java class called like whatever panel, and that's it. And we can say that it extends base whatever panel, and we'll create a constructor, yes, this way, and we'll call like super, that's great, and we'll create update components method here, and yeah, let's just call it update my components, or how did we call it in here? Update components, yeah, or update my components, it's probably better. And we can say here, select the select button dot add action listener, new action listener, and here we can do whatever. And of course this can be refactored if you want to, this way. So that's it. So this is how you can use the panel that you created before. This way you can actually separate what is created in the editor and what is your own code. And I think this is very nice. Just some tutorials and books. On the Oracle side, there is 2 links. The first link is about layouts. If you want to know more about how the various layouts manager work, this is a visual guide to it. So this is what I told you before, that of course you can write your own code. You can build up this panel the way you want using those built-in layout managers, but really the great one that is used by NetBeans is not really developer friendly, I would say. So yes, of course you can do that, but it is so much easier to use NetBeans for that. So list of components. So like you see like combo boxes or color choosers or password fields or progress bar or scroll panels or sliders or tables or text areas or whatever you need, or trees, how they work. This is the description. So how to create a table, and here you will find all the code, all the information that you need to create a table, for example, or for some simpler ones like a password field. So it's like for a password field, you just define a password field, you set action command, you want action listener, and so on and so forth. So this is how you can use it. And last but not least, there is a book called Swing Second Edition from Manning. I think this is quite an old book, so you will be able to probably just buy it used or find some PDF version of it. It really goes into the details of how actually Swing works. So Swing is the user interface or the other type of user interface for Java that is used also by Cameo. So if you want to more about the details, then I highly recommend you this. So just to make a quick summary here, so what we did today is we talked about dialogs, and we created or recreated a dialog or a panel on the dialog using NetBeans. We have seen that this is like really easy by using this dialog builder, and so that's basically for today. And let's talk a little bit about networking. Of course, if you have any kind of question, feel free to connect me at the following addresses, either through Gmail or LinkedIn. You can also check my blog or reach me on Discord as well, on the systems engineering Discord server. That's for today, and see you next time.